The Nintendo DS. Who hasn't heard of this system? Its first model releasing in 2004 only for the line of handhelds to be the second best-selling console of all time, just under the PlayStation 2. It's a pretty well-made handheld with its compact clamshell design, bells and whistles that aren't too gimmicky or obtrusive, and a mostly thoughtful library with some worthwhile games. With this system on the mind at the moment, I'd like to take the opportunity to talk about WarioWare D.I.Y. Let's switch on the projector, shall we? The WarioWare series I always felt did so many things right. Was it pretty simplistic and dumb? Yes. Did each game get old after a little while? Yes. But for what they offer, the games are elegantly designed packages that provide bite-sized fun and take advantage of whatever hardware they're used on. It's a blast as both a party game and a single-player experience. The series started in 2003 with mega microgames on the Game Boy Advance. Then there was a whole load of sequels and spin-offs following that, such as Twisted, which made use of a gyro sensor in its cartridge, and also, fun fact, never released in Europe because of the controlled chemical mercury in its gyro sensor. My personal favourite of the series is WarioWare Smooth Moves for the Wii, one of the very few games in existence where motion controls actually benefited the gameplay. Especially with features such as the unlockable minigames and multiplayer in Smooth Moves, I see each game as a toy box that I can jump into and keep my fun at a high priority. I remember seeing an ad pop up for DIY when I was younger. Not only was I blown away because the chances of Nintendo having any marketing on UK TV is slim, and whenever we got any marketing it was Girls Aloud playing Mario Kart. But Wario's brash yet charming voice told me that I'd be taught how to make my own microgames, if I empty out my parents' wallets and get every single copy of this game that I could find when it was
out Friday at Tesco!
And out Friday at Tesco it was, as 11-year-old me promptly asked for the game for his birthday. Development of the game actually started in September 2003, months after the release of the very first game, where series developer Goro Abe realised that his team actually had a surprising amount of fun developing the microgames, and wanted to give that experience to the end user. He felt that the format of the game complemented these creation tools, as he had played other games in the past that allowed him to make his own RPGs and shooters, but he got bored creating them before he could finish them, while WarioWare's 8 to 16 second microgames could be created and finished quickly while the player is still invested. However, the project was deemed difficult, and combined with the additional workload Abe had on other games, the project was put on hold, only for it to resurface after the completion of Smooth Moves in 2006, where the team had numerous other brainwaves, such as sending data to other users through the Nintendo Wi-Fi service, and incorporating drawing and music creation mechanics a la Mario Paint. So with all of that out the way, grab your stylus and the artistic integrity of a Steam Greenlight contributor, because we're making some video games. The plot here is simple, just like the rest of the series. After a nightmare involving numerous sprites flooding out of his TV screen, Dr. Krieger becomes inspired to create a new machine, this machine being a white dual-screen computer called the Super Makematic 21. Yes, we can see what you did there, guys. We're all very proud of your clever little breakthrough. Then, after he mistakes it for a TV, Krieger explains to Wario that the Makematic is a device that allows its users to input their own graphics, music, and AI in order to create their own microgames. This lighting up all of the dollar signs in Wario's squidgy eyeballs as he decides to exploit his company for further riches. But plot and context aside, it's time for the selling point. Let's head to WarioWare Inc. and learn how to make some microgames. In Lesson 1 of Game Development, Penny and Wario walk us through what makes a game so that we can create a basic one about poking a ladybug to get it to run off. Exhilarating. We're told that every game contains 4 things: a background to act as scenery, objects or actors that perform actions in the game, the backing music, and the AI that tell objects what to do. This tutorial isn't the most interactive thing on earth. Presumably to ensure that the player doesn't get too lost and the game ends up in a good quality, Penny and Wario spend most of their time either talking your ear off or doing areas of the game for you as part of a demonstration. Not to mention, Wario himself doesn't know how to make games either, so a lot of the features are introduced in a tiresome comic relief fashion of, I don't know how to do this. Well, have you tried doing this? Fuck off, Penny! I mean, Jesus Christ, it was like teaching my grandfather how to use a Kindle. But to give the tutorial credit, in designing the background and the ladybug, I, among other young gamers of the world, were taught highly secretive and complex skills, such as the fill tool, and clip art, and auto shapes. No wait, here's something. I get to do the spots on the ladybug. Time to show these two dickheads my art skills. Absolutely perfect, pristine, by design, and my parents said I get nothing out of life drawing genitalia on insects. Next we get to music, where we produce the melody, harmony and percussion that's going to back up our game. Can't wait to get stuck in and bring out my inner composer. I've played enough Wii music and used enough Vocaloid 3 to know how this goes down. No, wait. Wario's gonna do it for me. Also, we learn about copying and pasting because everyone's 7 and up in this day and age has never used MS Paint in their entire life. Okay, so with all the elements in our game created, we just have to piece it all together with my personal favourite area of DIY, writing the AI. With the ladybug sitting in the grass, we need to tell it what to do when we're playing the game. Each object has a starting AI and 5 AI scripts, formatted by an event in the game that triggers an action in return. In this case, our first script is, when ladybug is tapped, travel north. We then edit this script so that it plays a sound effect when tapped, such as munching? Okay. But we hit an obstacle on the way, as the ladybug moves for sure, but we still haven't told the Makematic what happens in the game for us to actually win it. All that involves is another little action written into script 1. When ladybug is tapped, turn ladybug switch on. Switches and their on-off states act as a way for multiple areas of the game to communicate with each other, as the listed triggers when writing only affect the solitary object you're writing for. Design the cartridge, give an eye-catching description, and bam. Within about half an hour we've developed a microgame. Isn't that so cool? Well, the tutorial itself isn't that cool, but the process itself was actually really quick and intuitive, but we'll get to that later. The game then gives you 2 more tutorials of about the same length as the last one that show you additional methods. The second tutorial involves popping a balloon to drop a present, where you learn stuff such as different sprites that can be applied to the same object, automatic music generating, and time-based triggers among other things. Cartridge, catchy description, bam. Then the third tutorial involves tapping butterflies on a brick wall and watching them fly around, where we learn about tricks such as custom textures, object display orders, and stealing assets without tweaking them. Yep, I knew that Steam Greenlight joke was gonna go full circle. Cart, description, bam.
Oh yeah, bam it again, Alzard!
And once that's done, you unlock the Assembly Dojo, a selection of puzzles that teach you more advanced AI scripts to take advantage of when you begin making games, such as advanced switches and win conditions, multi-tap triggers, invisible dummy objects, and randomization. There's also a DIY forum with a bunch of pre-written threads to give additional tips, but it's got that squeaky clean Nintendo vibe to it, considering it's my first time on the internet in years where nobody's divided over political views or telling me to kill myself. In terms of DIY's game-making interface, I absolutely adore it. It's like every microgame you create is a little brain teaser you've made for yourself. Made being an odd choice of words considering it's just a concept in your head that the game doesn't even know about yet, and seeing all the AI scripts slot together perfectly gives this amazing feeling. There are of course a few limitations, mainly in the drawing department, like how you can only undo once preventing you from rolling back, and you don't get layers to draw separate areas of the assets on. But to be fair, this is a DS game and not Adobe Photoshop After Effects Pro Super Mega Hatsune Miku edition with a pound of fries. The game even has more modes and creation tools if writing AI ends up not really being your thing. If you like the music tools, then the Record Maker-matic lets you make long-length songs where you can adjust tempo, instruments, bounciness, the works. And the Comic Maker-matic is a cute little tool that lets you make 4-panel black and white comic strips. This is what I mean about how each WarioWare game feels like a toy. Despite not being the most artistic person in the world, I remember younger me splurging out a quick microgame or comic strip whenever I had free time. And once those were done, I didn't feel like I wasted my time like I did making, say, Little Big Planet community levels, as it was all done in bursts and could be finished while the game still has my attention and inspiration. Another little mode for those who enjoy drawing is the Job Center in WarioWare Inc., where you select from 16 freelance jobs and do a few art assets for games Wario has already developed for you. You know, I should probably do that. I mean, AI is where I think I mainly shine in this game, and well, I'm no Da Vinci. Wait one moment. Hate to interrupt here, but I'll be back in a sec.
Hello?
Tyler, my good man. Listen, I'm making games of questionable length that are only available on a DS cartridge from 2010.
No, I don't want to work for you.
What? Why?
Because you won't fucking pay me, that's why.
But I will pay you.
Really?
In exposure.
Stop calling me.
Tyler? Hello? Well, looks like someone's having horrible rumours spread about them on Twitter later today. Now, I believe we're missing something. At the end of it all, this is a WarioWare game, so are there any pre-made microgames made by the developers? Well, everything we need is at the DIY shop. Yeah, this is the very first building you go into when starting the game, and I'm only just now talking about it. The DIY shop acts as the central hub of the gameplay, wherein you're the manager and with the assistance of your assistant, Abby, you stock up every game, record and comic produced by Makematic developers. Each department has 2 shelves, a diamond brand with preloaded content and a DIY shelf with all the content you've created yourself, received online or received from friends. The diamond brand has 5 shelves to play on: Mona, Jimmy T, Ashley, Orbulon and 9volt. In essence, it's traditional WarioWare with quite the caveat. See, each microgame presented was made with the in-game Makematic, just like the ones you create, which has a positive and a negative. Positive being that it's really cool to play games made by the developers that you could make of a similar quality with the fake in-game engine on your cartridge. And once you played a microgame, you then have the option to be able to open the game up, see its art assets, its AI, and like we learnt before, import those assets to be used in our own games. But the thing that irks me about this is that it means every microgame in WarioWare D.I.Y has the limitations provided by the fake in-game engine, namely the fact that the only input trigger methods you can set on your AI notes is if an object is tapped. No swiping, no holding, no buttons, nothing. This makes the game come off as very easy and samey. And before you jump down my throat, yes, simplicity is the point of WarioWare, but at least the predecessors, namely Smooth Moves with its Wii Remote poses, was able to provide different control schemes, ways each microgame is played, and overall challenge. I think the only blend that could hold my interest for long was Orbulon's, as it provided brain teasers, and it was the only one that gave any form of difficulty and required me to use my brain. In comparison to the other games, DIY's traditional gameplay is not the main event here, and a lot of your enjoyment and mileage will vary depending on your creativity and will to create more stuff. It's a case of the actual interface being enjoyable and satisfying, but the final products from that interface just ending up as okay. So that's the pre-made games for you. How about the pre-made records and comics? Again, these 2 items are made with their associated Makematic tools, but I honestly enjoyed what I got out of them. The game has an achievement system where performing a task earns you a medal, and with those medals you unlock records to listen to. Mona's being classical rearrangements, Jimmy T's being world music, Ashley's being catchy and melodic, Orbulon's being sci-fi, and 9volt's being Nintendo rearrangements. Can't say they're tracks you'd want saved on your phone, but they're still very enjoyable to listen to. As for comics, Diamond Publishing gives you 5 artists with their own series of 18 comics, and you get a new comic unlocked each real-time day, a condition that actually left me with a fair amount of anticipation, waiting just for what each new issue would look like. These artists being Kotobuki Shiriagari, Isami Nakagawa, Sekaiichi Asakura, Masakazu Amahisa, and Rei Betsuyaku. Jesus Christ, that took me a few tries. Each comic has that absurdity to it that feels right at home in WarioWare, and I got a fair amount of chuckles from it. So, we need to come to a conclusion. What do I think of WarioWare D.I.Y? It's alright. That's pretty much it. It's not the best by any means in terms of providing traditional WarioWare gameplay, but I absolutely love the creation tools, and younger me played the crap out of this game. Again, mileage will vary depending on what you end up creating, and don't expect a stream of new microgames considering Nintendo shut down their Wi-Fi service for all standard DS games. Its flaws are noticeable, but I still consider it one of my favourite DS games. Now, Nintendo, any chance you could get to work on WarioWare D.I.Y 2 for the Nintendo Switch? Pretty please? Please, I will single-handedly fund the project with all those Kirby amiibos that no one bought.